Good evening and welcome to our Facebook Live today. My name is Mehezabin Dordi and I'm a practicing psychologist with the Sir H. and Reliance Foundation Hospital. And as a psychologist, I encounter many misconceptions surrounding mental health that need to be addressed. While some of them are actually quite funny and obvious, some of them can be very, very serious. The common factor between both of them, however, is that they hinder in the process of getting the right kind of help. So, in the spirit of the Mental Health Awareness Month, let's discuss and demystify several of the most common myths about mental health. By debunking these myths, we can foster a better understanding and a support system for individuals experiencing these kind of challenges. So, without further ado, let's begin our 7 myths and the mythbusters about mental health. Let's begin with 1. Myth 1 is that mental health is a personal failing. The first myth that we need to address and debunk is the belief that mental illness is a personal failing. The reality over here is that mental health problems are not a reflection of weakness of character or any character flaws. Mental illness is caused by a combination of different factors: genetics, brain chemistry, trauma, life events, and many such variables can contribute to the development of mental health conditions. It is crucial for us to understand that mental illness is not something that an individual can simply overcome by willpower alone. Recognizing the multifaceted nature helps us shift away the blame and towards more empathy and support for those who are affected. Myth 2 is that seeking help is a sign of weakness. Now, I'm sure that all of us have come across this myth in some form or the other. The second myth that we need to dispel, and dispel it for good, is the misconception that seeking help is a sign of weakness. In reality, it takes tremendous courage and strength to reach out for support. Recognizing that there is a need for assistance and taking proactive steps to improve a person's individual mental well-being demonstrates resilience and self-awareness and not weakness. Just as we seek medical help for any physical ailments, just as we very, very willingly go to the doctor and approach them for our physical problems, it is equally important to seek professional help for mental health related concerns. Myth number 3 that we're going to be talking about is that mental health problems are rare. Now, our third myth revolves around the misconception that mental health problems are very, very rare. However, it cannot be further away from the truth. The truth is that mental health issues are far more common than we realize. They are so common that according to WHO, 1 in 4 people worldwide will experience some form of mental health issue at some point in their lives. So if that is the statistics, we need to wonder as to how rare the problem really is. Mental health problems affect individuals of all age groups, genders, and backgrounds, and it is important and vital for us to acknowledge the prevalence of this problem and encourage open conversations about it. Because if it is so prevalent and people are not talking about it, then there is something that's not quite right. Moving on to our myth number 4, that is, mental health problems are permanent. Now, this myth is especially important for us to address because this myth often discourages a lot of individuals from seeking help and actually hinder their recovery process. The truth is that recovery and management are both very well possible. With appropriate treatment, support, and self-care, individuals can experience significant improvement in their mental health. Of course, we understand that recovery may look different for each and every person, and it is not a one-size-fits-all kind of a process. But it is important for us to emphasize that people can and do very well lead fulfilling lives despite mental health challenges. So it is not permanent. The 5th myth that we would like to talk about is that mental health is a choice. Now, this myth is very, very debilitating and very, very harmful. This harmful belief suggests that individuals with mental health conditions are somehow responsible for their struggles, which again is not the reality. The reality or the fact of the matter is that mental health conditions arise from a complex interplay of biological, psychological, and environmental factors that are beyond an individual's control. It is not something that a person has control over, and it is certainly not a choice. It is essential for us to approach mental health with compassion and empathy and understand that nobody would actually choose something like this. Nobody chooses to experience these kind of challenges. So mental illness is not a choice. The sixth myth that we want to talk about is that mental health problems affect only certain demographics. Now, the reality is that illness knows no bounds. The impact that it has on an individual's life can happen at any point for anybody. It can happen to anyone and everyone. Mental health conditions can arise in individuals of any age, any gender, ethnicity, or socioeconomic background. It is crucial to recognize the universality of the problem and provide equal access to resources, support, and understanding for individuals. The seventh and the final myth for today's topic, of course, and it is not an exhaustive list, is people with mental illness are often violent or dangerous. Now, this myth perpetuates a certain type of stereotype, which gives rise to a lot of fear and stigma, leading to certain social exclusions and discrimination when it comes to people with mental illness. The reality, again, over here, is that people with mental illnesses are not inherently violent. In fact, individuals with mental health conditions are more likely to be victims of violence rather than perpetrators, and that's the universal statistic. The majority of people with mental illnesses are peaceful, law-abiding individuals who pose no threat to others whatsoever. And it is essential that we challenge these misconceptions and combat this stigma associated with mental health. In conclusion, while I come at the very far end of my talk today, I would just like to emphasize that by dispelling these myths, and I've listed down 7 of them, but there are, I'm sure, several that we come across on a day-to-day basis, we can foster a more compassionate and more supportive society around us for individuals facing mental health challenges. It is our collective responsibility to educate ourselves, change the stereotype, and create an environment that encourages open conversations about mental health. It is important and essential for us to remember that mental health matters, and by working together, we can promote well-being and help those in need. Thank you so much for listening to me today.